If you've been around here for a while, you know one of our favorite sayings of all time here at Gatlu, and that is, good morning, good life. You know I'm a big fan of the morning routine, and when I think of my morning routine and what needs to happen to make it great, it's a nice, hot, piping cup of coffee. That's how I do things. I do love my lemon water as well. I do love a couple of other things, but there's just like that first sip of coffee that just does it for me. And so I could not think of a better idea when it came to creating something to help everybody with their great morning than to make my own personal version of a coffee mug. That's right. If you head over to gatlu.store, we have officially introduced the Good Morning, Good Life Classic mug. So maybe your coffee, like me, maybe your hot tea, maybe a little bit of hot lemon water. When I drink lemon water, it's usually cold. That's why the first thing that goes in this mug is coffee after that lemon water. But hey, hot lemon water up your alley? Perfect. You've got to check this out. Head over to gatlu.store, GATLUW.store, and maybe you prefer pink. Maybe you prefer a little bit of a sage green action. We got them both available for you in the version of a coffee mug. Good Morning, Good Life, the classic mug, is over at gatlu.store. And for being one of my dear friends here at Detail Therapy, you can get 15% off your mug by using the promo code Detail Therapy. I know you're going to have to remember that one, right? Head over to gatlu.store. That's GATLUW.store and get your Good Morning, Good Life coffee mug today.
She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies.
Give me every little detail
of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detail Therapy with Amy Landino.
Good morning, good life. Welcome back to Detail Therapy. It's episode 151. We're talking about my post-baby morning routine. It's something that I've been asked quite a bit about in the DMs as the morning routine queen. Some might like to call me, some being me. I have to remind myself that I am the good morning routine queen. It makes me feel good, you know. But anyway, I have been asked about this a lot. It really wasn't time to talk about it yet because, post-baby, like early days, you're not getting the best of me. Let's be honest, okay? So I don't want to talk about my morning routine, but I'm going to unpack that and I'm going to talk about where we are today and some things I have to say about the morning routine when life is changing. Before we get into all that, hi, my name is Amy Landino, and I will be your host. I'm the founder of a company called Gatlu. It stands for Go After the Life You Want. We create resources for ambitious professionals like you who are ready to unleash their power, get unstuck, and create the life of their dreams. Head over to gatlu.com. You're going to find out all the stuff that we do and all the resources we have available to you. There's videos. We've got books. I wrote a book about morning routines. It's called Good Morning, Good Life. There's blog posts. The show notes for this podcast can be found there as well. And if you need some more podcast goodness in your earbuds every morning to motivate you to go after the life that you want to join Shine Squad. That's our premium community. And I do a daily 5-minute podcast for them. Literally daily. That's a real thing. Isn't that amazing? Tap the notes in your podcast player for all of those details. Hey, let's start here. Let's do the screenshot challenge again. Screenshot this podcast, DM me, post it to your story, regardless, either way, at Schmatastic on Instagram and Twitter. Answer me this. I like the screenshot because it proves that you actually are listening to the show, and I prioritize when I see those images. You know what I'm saying? I know what to look for. Answer me this question. What are your big 3 things that you do in your morning routine right now? 3 things. They don't have to be all philosophical and productive or anything. There's 3 things that you always do in your morning routine. What are things that are actually habitual in your routine currently? I want to know what you're up to start the day on your terms. Shoot me that note on Instagram or Twitter. So I want to start by saying post-baby morning routine sounds really good, right? Like, ooh, this is going to be so interesting. I cannot wait. I want to know what all the secrets and all the hacks are. Well, here's the thing. I want to start by saying that much like I talked about in the book, much like I talk about in my content, life is different for everyone, and we each go through seasons of our lives. So when you think about what a routine is, it's something that happens very consistently. And we want things that happen consistently. Why? We want consistency because it removes some of the exhaustive brain space that goes to decision making in our minds. And when we do that, when we take a lot of silly decision making off of our plate, we make room for the important decision making. So you've probably heard the advice, lay your clothes out the night before. Why? So you don't have to decide what you're going to be wearing the next day. So you can focus on the agenda for the day, the big stuff. Why do they say to plan your dinners out for the week? Well, because every single night when you have that conversation with the person next to you, like, what do you want to eat tonight? I don't know. What do you want to eat tonight? Okay. All right. That's a whole conversation. It's exhausting. It's making you exhausted of each other and each other's inability to make a decision. And also you're sitting there trying to make a decision. So let's talk about why that's so important. Routines are great for when we can remove decision making. That is very importantly correlated to the season of your life that you are in. So let me talk about first where we have been up to this point. As my dear friend, you, me, we've been hanging out, getting along, checking out YouTube together, podcasting together. You know that morning routines are very important to me. And until the age of 36, I have been able to have this morning routine as nothing more than a dog mom, right? I had a handicapped dog for 16 years. She was not handicapped the entire time. She was handicapped from the age of 6 on. So for the last decade of her life, she was a big responsibility. I have been married for the last almost 5 years. So he was also considered one of my babies. I'm just kidding, Vincenzo. You know what I mean though, right? Like the husband life. Okay. No, he knew from the outset that we were going to be very good together. We complement each other very well. And one of the things that I told him was, hey, I need my morning routine to myself. And so he was very respectful of that. So my morning routine has mostly been based on what I wanted it to be, right? Especially and not limited to the fact that I have been self-employed, my own boss for more than a decade. That's right, folks. A long time. A lot of people are just starting their entrepreneurial journey because they are learning about the creator space and how to make money with it. That's all cool and good. I've been doing that for a hot minute in addition to agency services and coaching and speaking and writing, a lot of different things. So when I wake up and start the day on my terms, well, it happens for a lot of different reasons. So my morning routine has been something that has mostly been willpower, right? It's been mostly, this is what I want it to be. This is what I'm going to wake up. This is what's going to happen. And I shape the day based the way I want it. Now, I'm 37 years old now, and I have a baby, like a real baby. I currently have an almost 3-month-old, my firstborn child. And so morning routines have changed. I know this is going to come a shock. It's going to come a shock to all of you. Or is it? Or the moms who've been literally hanging out with me forever are like, this girl, Wait until she has kids. Okay, tell me more about your good morning, good life, honey. And believe me, I hear you. I receive that. I have always heard you out on that, and 1,000% agree. However, we have to remember something very, very important. There are seasons of life. There are things that we need to get through. There are moments where genuinely the chaos cannot be fixed. But we do know what serves us the best. And whether that means we need to watch for the light at the end of the tunnel or watch for opportunities intermittently in the meantime to achieve those little things that make us feel good, that's all fine and good. But I'm now at the point where I can kind of share what this journey has looked like for me because, like I said, I have a 3-month-old. The first 3 months, again, chaos, total chaos. And I kind of want to talk about what mornings looked like and now where I am today. And guess what? It could all change tomorrow. You know what they don't tell you when you're not a mom yet and then you just kind of have to bumble your way through it? There's this thing called the Wonder Weeks. Why is no one telling anyone about this? Like, why? It's the weirdest thing. Like, even if you read a book about how to start to teach your child to work on their own routine and how to feed them and how to have really effective and productive awake time and playtime and how to help them with their sleep, like, you can do all the reading about that in the world. But for some reason, this whole they go through crazy growth spurts and develop skills and derail all routines and planning for weeks at a time on a very regular basis. Like, why is no one talking about that? I don't understand. I don't understand. Parents will know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I highly recommend that you look into it if you're planning on having children. Okay, Amy needs to stop speed talking now. But my point is, there's a lot of things that happened in the first 3 months where it's like, even if we were getting into a good rotation and I was starting to learn her and learn how to feed her well, etc. Her name is Bianca, by the way. I didn't mean to just breeze over that. There would be these moments where things would just go completely off the rails, and you just have to kind of deal with the fussiness and the craziness of it. Wow, what a great time to go on a tangent about healthcare and post maternity leave and how maternity leave is not long enough and all that in the United States, but we don't have time for that. So the last few months have been all over the place, but I will say one thing. In Good Morning, Good Life, we talk about the 3 moments that shape a great start to the day on your terms. And that is movement, mindfulness, and mastery. Movement being get your body going. If you can take a walk, if you can do a workout, if you can exercise, if you can do some stretching, you choose what your movement is. For many years, I always said the movement is, for me, the movement is skincare. I move the muscles around on my face. That is still true. That being said, I have been able to work in a little bit more than that, but I'll get to that in just a second. Movement is what you want it to be. Movement could just literally be stretching on the floor for a few minutes. It is just something to wake the body up. Mindfulness. What are you doing to be mindful? What do we talk about when we mean mindfulness? Mindfulness is being present in this moment and really remembering what's happening right now and reflecting on where we're going and what we want and not worrying, but actually understanding where are we in this second of our time, of our life. And mastery is the time that you spend toward building the skill of your passion or your purpose in life. So in a former life, like I said, movement would have been a little skincare first thing in the morning. Mindfulness was a lot of journaling. Morning pages was something that I cared deeply about for a very long time. It helped me with my creative muscles. A lot of other things I did for mindfulness, just adding on reading the Daily Stoic or just anything I could do to just be super present in the moment and just be thankful for waking up today and having this day. And then mastery, I would start working, but in the sense that I would do something very creative. So I would write a video idea. I would write a podcast idea. I would write out a creative plan for a client. I would do something that was building the skill that I was working on before the craziness of the day started. Emails, phone calls, meetings, talking to the team, all those other things. So that was what my morning routine consisted of before. During maternity leave and now, when I'm not on maternity leave anymore, but more on that in a bit. Those things are not exactly what my 3 M's are at all. Obviously, on leave, I was trying to take a break from work. So mastery was not working on work. You see what I'm saying? I'm drawing the line there. I'm focused on the baby right now. Movement actually is possible in a couple of different ways. And mindfulness happens very easily. And let me tell you why. And I want to go into this for a second because I think mindfulness is probably one of the most important M's. If you could pick one out of the 3, it's very easy to think like, oh, I wake up. How am I starting the day on my terms if I'm waking up after very little sleep and I'm going to serve this little baby who really needs to eat right now? Well, let me tell you, you got to do what you got to do. You got to take care of the humans that you brought into this world. But I can tell you that while I'm sitting in my fancy glider from Pottery Barn, breastfeeding my child, I can't think of a better time to sit in mindfulness. So I will do a couple of different things. First of all, I'll just make sure that she's comfortable and happy and just stare at her. And now she stares back and it's the coolest thing. So how much more mindful could I get? I really need to remind myself every day that I'm a parent. That's so new for me. Just sitting with her and seeing myself in trying to get outside of myself and stare down at myself like, wow, you are parenting, that you are feeding a child with your body. This is crazy. That is a very mindful moment for me. Another thing I'll do probably about 5 minutes later after she's kind of got going and all this kind of stuff is I will shut my eyes. And if I don't fall asleep, which is a possibility, and let's be honest, that's good health for me sometimes, is just to go back to sleep. But I'll visualize. And the visualization is even more fun for me now because I'm thinking about the success I hope for myself. I'm thinking about the things I want to do with my life. And it's even more important than ever because I'm doing it for my family. And that purpose has grown so much. And not a whole lot of movement, can happen in the chair, but that's all right. I'm sitting there usually thinking like, wow, first thing I used to do every single morning was drag myself to a bathroom and wash my face and do my skincare and brush my teeth. And I hate my breath right now and I really wish I could brush my teeth. That's usually what I'm thinking. But it's fine. It's not a big deal because I know that step is coming as soon as I have given this girl what she needs. And that is still me starting my day on my terms. The new hack that I have for myself really is movement. And as a new parent, I think you kind of get a little in your head about how easy it is to leave the house, right? You feel like you're finally hitting your stride at home and you're like, okay, everything's good here and I have everything I need here. So let's not leave the house and mess that up, right? But it's very important that I get some kind of movement, some kind of exercise and start to feel more like myself because it's going to be better for me in terms of my motivation as a human, as a parent, and as someone getting back to work. All of that being said, I'm just going to walk through my morning routine. It's very brief, it's very quick, and it's working for me in this season of life. So Bianca actually just started sleeping 8 hours at night. And if it's not 8 hours, it's 7, which is totally fine. My husband and I switched shifts at night. So I will go to bed early. And if for some reason she does not sleep all the way through the night, he's got the monitor until a certain period of time. It's usually no later than midnight because I told him just come to bed after midnight. That's fine. So he has the monitor until midnight and I'll be sleeping. So if she wakes up at that point, he takes care of it that way. I'm not starting off with very, very, very little sleep to begin the night. I'm getting at least 4 or 5 hours. Now, she usually wakes up 5:30, maybe 6. It depends on what time she went to sleep. And that's all very much in flux right now. And we just kind of go with it. But when she wakes up, it's time to wake up. So I take care of her. We sit and we eat. And I do a lot of that mindfulness, a lot of that visualization. And my mastery at the moment is reading. I have books sitting next to me, next to my rocking chair. So I have The Daily Stoic. I have, right now, I'm reading The Power of One More by Ed Milet. Whatever nonfiction book I'm reading, that's my mastery. That's my opportunity to work on my craft without having to actually be out of this chair, right? So I'm easily able to get those two done in one full swoop. Once that's all done, I'm still taking care of her, right? Like we get dressed, we play, we do a little patterns and toys kind of action to kind of get her brainwaves going. And then she takes a nap. By the time she takes that nap, I go in and I do my skincare, I brush my teeth, I put some clothes on, I pump, like I just do the things I gotta do to like get my body right, get dressed. So that in no more than like 45 minutes, she wakes up again and we eat again. And I probably do a little bit more mastery, or I probably start to check emails at that point, if we're being honest, just to see what's going on and what I need to have covered. By the time she is done eating that second time in the day, that's when I do my real movement. I'm like, okay, let's get dressed. Not get dressed. She's usually dressed already, but if for some reason she's not, then we are getting dressed, and then we get in the stroller and I go on the walk. And that is so important to me because I realized, okay, if she falls asleep in the stroller, that's cool because it means I get to walk and she gets to sleep at the same time. 2 birds, 1 stone. And I get to finish my morning routine. Go me. And that's pretty much it. It's really simple. And it's just about where are we right now? What does she need? What do I need? How can we work this all out together and make it happen? And is it going to work perfectly every time? Absolutely not. Do I know what I need at a minimum? Yes. Am I going to get it every time? Absolutely not. But I'm not going to sit here and say, well, because my child needs something from me first thing as soon as I wake up, my entire day is derailed. I'm still starting the day on my terms because the day on my terms includes this beautiful baby girl who I chose to have in my life. And there's just nothing cooler than that. Now, sometimes I don't really feel all that like rainbows and sunshine about being a parent. Sometimes I'm stressed to the ends of the earth about all the things that I have to do. But I have to work with my partner. I have to work with the people who help us in our lives. My mom stayed with me for 3 weeks. That was super helpful. My husband's parents come to visit and they help. That's super amazing. You got to leverage what you have and leverage that help and ask for help. And that's something I've always been bad at, but you got to do it. If you really don't want to be stressed, if you really want to get done what you got to get done, you've got to find the way to do it. And you can't keep chalking it up to, oh, it's never going to happen. No, this is a season of life. It doesn't have to last 18 years. And I am still a firm believer that no matter whether it can go perfectly every day or not, you can teach the people around you, including your child, what it means to have a morning routine. And my way of doing that is by incorporating her into it because she's a huge part of my life now. As a matter of fact, I would even say she's my full-time job. And my business just became my side hustle. Do you know how weird that is for me to say? But it's true. My husband and I are both deciding right now that she's not going to be going to daycare. And we don't have relatives here in Florida that can take care of her during the day while we're working. So we have shifted our schedule so that one of us is always in charge of her. Right now, it's the afternoon. When I'm recording this, my husband's got the monitor. She's taking a nap. When she wakes up, he's going to bottle feed her. It's all good. I'm going to get work done in the afternoon. In the mornings, I'm on baby duty. And that's just how we're handling it. And that's what we're doing for now. And that could change later. And that could change in a week. And it could change in a month. I don't know. We might end up moving. Who the heck knows? Like, I just don't know how it's going to go, but I do know how I can handle it right now. Seasons of life are not a life sentence. And I think we lose sight of that so often, that once the routine goes off the rails, or once our things that we really, really need go off the rails, we want to blame a lot of outside circumstances, and even to the state of martyrdom, right? Like, oh, well, I'm taking care of my baby. My baby is the most important thing in the whole wide world. And therefore I must slowly become a lesser version of myself. It's like, not necessarily. It just might look different than it used to. And if it doesn't look different than it used to, then are you really growing as a person? So I just thought this was a good opportunity to kind of talk through that, because for so many years, I think it's been hard for people to see how they can put themselves first. And it's not because they don't want to. It's just because they haven't really flex that muscle. It's gotten really easy to let somebody else come first, or let your entire family come first. Forget first, forget second, forget third. Just everybody can get what they need if everyone has their priorities. And a baby has just a few priorities. And if you can serve those priorities and you also have just a few priorities, they often can work together, and they also often can both happen. Maybe not every single day, but a couple of them for all parties. And her priorities, of course, right now, totally and probably forever, are going to come before mine. The girl needs to eat when she's hungry. The girl needs to sleep when she's tired. And if we don't do those things, the two of us are going to be bad news bears in the long run. I've got to learn to work with that, as well as incorporate her into the things I need for myself to take care of who I am, so that I can be the best version of who I am for her. And so mommy needs a walk. For a couple weeks, it was actually very hard to get her in the stroller to go for a walk. I don't know why. She just was kind of really fussy, and it was weird because she falls asleep so easily in her car seat. But now it's good. And the more we do it, the more she's used to it, and the more comfortable she is, and the more she falls asleep while I'm walking, which is awesome, because I'm usually working on that walk too, which is awesome too. I love either listening to a good podcast on that walk or listening to some kind of a course. And I also will audio message with my clients in the Amy Landino's Inner Circle on that walk. So there's just so many things that can happen when you get all of these things working together. And so that is what my morning routine looks like post baby right now. We'll see what happens. Maybe next week it'll be different. Stay tuned. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you thought about this. Maybe you have kids, or maybe you're thinking about it, or maybe you've always wondered what it'd be like for Amy to have a kid and change her morning routine. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you leave a comment over at Details Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. And of course, I'd love to see your screenshots and hear what your morning routines look like as well. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. Remember, subscribe for good vibes, kiss the ones you love, and go after the life you want. I'll see you back here next time. Cheers.